Hello and welcome to a brand new series of the Addon Spotlight. This is episode 1 of the weeks to come. I'm going to go over add-ons in WoW on UIs, on raid enhancers, on PvP enhancers, just any add-on possible. You put it in the description. I'll give it a couple days to test it out and bring it back to you. And yeah, I switched to the Alliance, but just for raiding, because I wanted to bring you guys more content. And the more content we shall deliver. So, what is the add-on I am going over today? Today, it is the Elvui. This is Elvui. It's a full enhanced UI over the Blizzard UI. You can customize it any way you want by typing /EC, clicking toggle anchors, and everything's at your disposal. You can move everything around. I'm not going to show you guys how I set up my UI in this one, but if you would like me to, leave a comment down below and I can show you exactly how this is all set up, what we did to change the resource bar down here below. But today I am going over to profiles, and we are coming over to a brand new one. I am just going to click Rogue down here. Here is the UI setup. This is a UI enhancer with it. It is called, if we come over here, I have Enhanced WAD, Microbar Enhancement, Item Level Data Text, Locations Plus, Professions Data Text, which is this thing, all the recommended dungeons, your tokens of what you have, the professions, that's what that data text is. Raid markers, so that's down here, or if I hover over my own name, that's right here. And for the added bonus, visual aura timers. That is all this, but I usually have that turned off. We're going to go ahead and reload our UI here to turn that off fully so we don't have to turn that off later. Yep, there we are. Alright, so after you have reloaded your UI once or twice, this message will come up. Just click disable and click hide. So going back into it, you type /EC to bring up this menu. You can change the announce interrupts. I usually leave that on party and raid, or say auto repair, and everything's just basically how it is. We're gonna go ahead and put auto repair on guild. If your guild does not do auto repairs to the guild, you can click player. Vendor grays, if you walk up to a vendor, it'll automatically vendor every single gray in your bag. Doesn't matter. You can accept invites from people. We have the bottom panel, top panel, so that's this thing. I leave that up there. I use MSBT transformers for text. That is this text right here. Basically, that text comes from mixed scrolling battle text, which is a really cool add-on that throws your data all over the screen in very simplified form. And this is the general tab. Chat bubbles, so if I were to type hi, that's those bubbles right there. We come over down to media, and you have the font size for everything. You have default font. Now in the event you change this, that changes everything else in the UI. So for instance, as we noticed here, that changes everything that involves the UI. These are just different textures for your bars. Oh, and on an added bonus, if you do not like the black and white backgrounds, you can actually come over here and we can click OK, and this will change it to anything that you like. But I'm going to go ahead and put that back to black because I kind of liked that. Minimap. So that's up here in this corner. You can resize it to anything, and the second you move or reload your UI, it will go back. I usually have that to full over there, or a little less. I think I had that a little less last time. Locations of data text, you can hide it. We can minimap mouse over. You can always display, or you can just put it above the minimap, and that'll give you the location you're currently in and where you're at. And this is all just things that involve where the placement of this is. Now we come down to minimap button bar. That is with the Elvui enhanced add-on that goes with Elvui. All these orange texts are the Elvui enhanced thing, so the red marker bar is Elvui enhanced as well. You can just change everything around here. And that's this. Action bars. So all of these action bars down here, you can completely move them around wherever. I have these set to transformer as well. You mask support, so that's a healing add-on, I believe. They've got support for all of that right here. Boss button, so that's not this button, that is a toggle anchor bar. Actually, that is that button. Fail. So that's the extra action button that you have during a raid. So for Iskar, the Eye of Anzu, that's where that would go, for instance. So the micro bar, enable. That is your Blizzard action of spell books, character. It has your full redone of character. Everything is blackened out. Bar 1. I usually backdrop all of these. You can mouse over them. So that's a mouse over. You run over all of these, and I usually just enable every single one of them. You can move all the buttons around here. So in the bottom left, right hand corner, if you notice that, I usually have that set to about there. Backdrop that out. We will move all of this around later, because we will actually get into where I have my UI shortly. Bar, will backdrop over here. So bar 5 is the bottom left. Move that to 4. Bar 6. This is the extra bar where if you're on the normal Blizzard UI, you hit shift and your scroll wheel, and that's the underneath bar. You can go ahead and add that to this one, which I really love. Pet bar. So if you're a hunter and you have a pet, or a frost mage, the pet bar, which by default is somewhere over here next to bar 4, which I hate where that is, but I don't have a pet, so I don't have to deal with that as a rogue. Stance bar, so if you're a warrior, that'd be battle stance, that'd be defensive stance, but for a rogue, it's stealth. Bags, so this is kind of interesting actually. So this is the normal Blizzard bags, which I love a lot better. If we click enable here and click accept, with UIs, you are going to have a lot of reloading. And reloading is basically what it has to do to get the bags back in order. This is Elvui bag. So if you're a fan of Bagnon or something of that nature, you can scroll over here. It'll tell you the description of things. It'll tell you differences of things. The thing where if I hover over a piece of gear, that is Mogget. It shows you how each of the pieces look. Go back over here to the bags and just enable that. You do have a lot of reloading. That is the only downside to getting a UI, and it's actually one of my favorite parts. Just building your own raid UI. And if you come all the way down to the bottom, you have your bag bar right here. So I have all Hexweave bags, and you can empty slot, or you can just manually click on each one of these. Just find it interesting. Oh, double clicking on that gets rid of everything. You can also ascend it or descend it, so that's where your backpack is exactly. Buffs and debuffs. So we run over to a training dummy in the garrison, and the buffs and debuffs is basically anything that's on this, or above here, or over here, I mean, it's everything. I have that set to transformer as well. Basically, anything in the font that's set to Elvui, I really dislike the Elvui font, so I go with a battle text font. This is the chat, which is in lower right and left hand corner. My settings are just left. I love having only the left chat open. You can resize this chat panel and move everything around. I think that looks about good right there. Tab panel, so that shows this blackened outline here. You can separate the size panels, so if you can't tell what that did to the right side here, that makes it so each panel you can move separately. You can change the font of the tab font you can change as well. You can change the outline, the tab outlines. And that's the chat. Data text. So this comes with it. The orange text of action bar 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 3, and 5 in this case, is the elevated text underneath it. I really don't like that. You can change the gold format. So down in our lower right hand corner, I can change it to condensed. I can change it to full. You can go back to Blizzard. You can click show coins instead of gold. Come down here to this and click Transformers. That changes everything down here in the bottom. You can change the outline of it, which I really don't like to do. Okay, nameplates. So, nameplates usually goes over this and this. It's two different things. The unit frames also goes over both. So, that's something that people don't like. Combo points, so for rogues, I usually have that disabled. Combat toggle, so that's whether or not it toggles that. It's kind of like hitting Shift V. It does the same exact thing. Go over and down here and click Transformers, and that changes that. I usually have that set just a tad higher. I think we have that set to 10. Wrap name, so it shows the entire name. You can change differences on here. If I change that to none, you can change it back to monochromal. Health bar, so scale if low health. This, so if you are a warrior with execute or a rogue assassination spec with dispatch, you can click enable here, and that makes the nameplate really big and massive to show exactly where it is. And so you can DPS the living crap out of it. Color by raid icon, so if I were to take this and I were to click this, that basically just recolors to help you even further on those DPS times. Leave that enabled. So, fonts. That makes the font in here, which I love a lot, because when you're soloing mobs out in Tanan, or you're soloing it just in general, you know the health of the mob you're killing. And I have that on current, max, and percent. Come down here to cast bar, and that just shows the height of the cast bar on the target. Debuffs, change that here. Stretch texture I do not like. That stretches it so it goes across the entire width of that, and it's just really annoying, and it looks bad. Show personal auras, that's showing your buffs on the target. I don't like that. I mean, you could do that, but you could. Color by health bar, so target indicator. That makes the yellow glaze over this, or if I were to go over to a green mob, that would be green. I don't like that, because that just shows, but you know, some people might. Healer icon. This is really helpful. So if you have a healer or a tank in the raid, and you hit Shift V or Control V, how the target dummy is now, there will be a giant healer crosshair, basically saying, this is a healer, kill it now. That's a PvP enabled thing, and it's really helpful. My suggestion is to leave that turned on. Threat. So if you're a tank and you want to know the threat, there's a threat bar. You can usually move this around with... I can't get it to move. There we go. It moved now. Sometimes if you're clicking on your tune, this doesn't want to move around, but now it will. There's a threat bar that's usually about right here if you enable this. And you can filter different names and stuff. Skins, this is entirely customizable. So if you have another add-on that you love, say you don't like the Elvui raid frames, or you don't like their icons up here, you can disable those in the skins portion of this and go enable your other add-on, and it will take over. Tooltip. So cursor anchor is really bad, because if the target is moving all over the place, it's hard to keep track of it. So if you leave the uncursored anchor, the default location is down in the lower right hand corner. It tells you the name of it, what type it is. It's a level 102 mechanical, and the name and the health. So the other thing with the tooltip is you can click both here, and if I open my bags, we will scroll over. So let me find something that's in my bank as well. Here. Oh, so Enchanter's Study, Rush Orders. So this is just an example item. As you like, the count is how many you have in your bags, and the bank is how many is in your bank. And this also calculates your reagent bank, which is extremely helpful, because if you're one of those people with a ton of alts and you are sitting in your garrison but you don't want to go to the bank, you can just hover over your items and see where your items exactly are. You can do the visibility, so never hide on the action bars, never hide your bags and bank, never hide the unit frame. So that's this thing. Always hide, Alt key, health bar. I'm going to go ahead and change this up. So if we move this to 14 for an example, the health bar down at the bottom went real high, real quick. Change this to 8, and that moved it up 1. Unit frames. This part is going to be extremely long. You're going to be moving it all over the place. It's going to be a disaster, but we're going to go through it. And you got to move everything around. Debuff highlighting. So color the unit health bar if there's a debuff that can be dispelled by you. Glow. Leave that on glow. Target on mouse down. That is not exactly a good thing, because if you hover over it, it's not going to target it. Clicking it down means that you selected it. I personally like leaving it so that way you have to let go to have it markered, because if you're a person like me that has a ton of key bindings and you have like focus targets and stuff like that, you run over here, hit this, run over there without even having to move. What you do? Smooth bars. This makes it so that way if you're running an extremely good computer, or any computer that can run add-ons extremely well, this makes your bars run extremely smooth. I use Elvui Gloss because it makes it all look nicer down here, in my opinion. The default font for the unit frames. This is only going to change your target, you, the focus target, the target of target, and every party frame, chat frame, target. Clicking this, so color, health, by class, or reaction. Force reaction color, so that turns it green. I don't like that. Class power bar, so class power by class color or reaction. If you leave that unchecked, rage is going to be red, mana is going to be blue, energy is going to be yellow, fury is going to be red for druids. If you check that, whatever class you have is going to be the color of that bar, which is extremely annoying. Combat fade. So if I were to undo me targeting myself, it fades in and out. So if I were to hit the training dummy and have that enabled, it'd make my nameplate show up in combat. You can change all the other stuff here. This changes the health bar, power bar. You can have that filled, you can have that inset, you can have it spaced. So what I do is I put that on, I believe I had it set to filled, and then offset. Yep, there we are. The offset was set to 11. What offset does, if I move this down, if I move this up here to show you, is makes it so that way you can change it so you can have it completely offset, not offset at all. I leave that at 11 because it shows each one of those. You can change the height of it. Text offset, so where do you want the text to be? I'll put that about there. Go ahead, and here's a cool thing. So you can also have the portraits. I use overlay, and I like that, but you can have it right here. The only reason I use overlay is because you can change where you want the camera on it. You can change where your tune is in general. You can completely turn your model around. PvP icon. So if I enable myself for PvP really quick, I guess you can't enable it in your garrison. Really? I didn't know that. Okay, so let's say we have everything done in the player frame. You come over here to target frame, and you can click copy from player. And that changes everything you've done on your player frame, flips it, reverses it, and puts it on your target frame. So that way you don't have to change a thing on the target frame. You can change all that stuff. Locations plus. So this is a cool add-on that you can change all sorts of things with. I personally have it up. If we go ahead and toggle our anchors here, I have this up here, I believe, in my other UI, and we just move everything around. Just make everything look nice and neat. Click lock on that. You can have it set to mouse over. You can have the tooltip set to hide, cap professions, hide raid, hide PvP, battlegrounds. You can make the shadow on it, so if anybody didn't just see that, we'll go ahead and pull that down here for the example. And I can undo the shadow, I can make it undo transparency, undo the backdrop, that just makes it look really bad. Make it larger, I prefer the shadow on. You can auto colorize, or you can set the class color, that's not going to really do much. Use class color on the coordinates, or use custom color. I use class colors. So yeah, that's the UI in a nutshell, and the majority of that is set up how it is. What I did not show here is where everything is set up. That is up to everybody's opinion, and my preferred settings are, let me go ahead and click on my preferred setting, everything around all over the place. The objective frame is up here, your pet bar, because I don't have a pet, is over here. But if you have a pet, if I were going to use the same setup, I'd put it like down here, because I don't use pets, so I don't need to put that anywhere. Arena frame, boss names, raid frames, I'm a DPS, so I just throw it over here. Party frames for like 5-man dungeons. Raid pet, main tank, off tank. Move those together. Player buffs, player debuffs, so this will show where your buffs and debuffs are, but that usually shows up when you're hitting a mob anyway. I moved the minimap down here so I don't have to look up in the right hand corner all the time. When you're done, you just click lock. So let's go ahead and go back down to the rogue. So we're currently on the existing profile of rogue. If I click install, it brings you up to the UI as it would be if you first installed it, and nothing is set up how it needs to be. So you can click skip process and do everything we just did, or you can click continue. We can set up the CVARs. We can set up chat, but because I've already moved chat around, I'm not going to do that. But we can go ahead and just click set up chat, and that'll set up everything, rearrange it all. It's going to be stupid. This is the weirder part. Choose a theme layout you wish to use for initial setup. You can always change the font, colors, and any element of the Elvui from the in-game config. Importance is low because you can change it to what it was when it first loaded in, dark colors, or your class colors. Continue. Your current resolution is 2560 by 1440. This is considered a high resolution. Resolution doesn't really matter, but if I were to click high resolution or low resolution, that just changes everything we just did back to where the game recommends. So this is important, the layout. Are you a tank, healer, physical, or caster DPS? So if I click tank, that's going to bring up things over here. If I click healer, it recommends click or cliche, however you say that. Physical DPS, caster DPS. Click continue. Aurora bars and icons, icons only. I like aurora bars and icons. Click continue. You are now finished with the installation setup process. If you need any technical support, please visit the tuckui.org site. Click finish. That reloads everything back the way it was as you just set it all up. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and have fun with your brand new UI.